until the country felt that we had been honest about why it was that we were kicked out in the first place, and we had some solutions to the big problems the country faced. And I think that is the issue for the Labour leadership. What concerns me is the big issue that we face at the moment is this massive deficit that we've been talking about earlier. And we've had lots of discussion amongst the leadership candidates on immigration, on policy towards the US and other areas, but no one has yet talked about how they would tackle the deficit. And I think for Labour to be credible, they have got to start addressing this central issue in British politics.
What about, did you like Ed Balls's remark that it's time to look at the free movement directive in the European Union, rather what's thought of as a sort of right-wing Tory view on this, and stop immigration? Free movement of labour is another matter, and goods and services is fine.
Well, I think it's... I was absolutely...
Alf Garnett of British politics,
yes,
your leader called him.
I think it is absolutely extraordinary. I think the Labour Party on immigration doesn't seem to know where it's coming or going. But I think the point I would say to those people in that debate is, yes, immigration was one of the policies that Labour was most unpopular for on the doorstep. But don't just think about this in terms of what you were popular about and what you were less popular about. I think actually you've got to look at the whole New Labour project and ask why it was that people felt betrayed by it. And one of the things that they want to see is some realism about the mess the country's in, the economic mess that means that we're all having to go through these incredibly painful spending cuts. And I think that is going to be the crystal test of whether this is a serious leadership contest or really just a cosmetic debate about how to get votes.
You want them to put their hands up and say we were guilty? That's really what you want.
I'd like them to not just do that.
Well, that is what you'll say.
Yeah, I'd be very happy for them to do that. But more importantly, more importantly, what I think they should do is actually say what they would do, because we're trying to have this debate now, and we want everyone to contribute to it, and I think the Labour Party should contribute to it as well.
Okay. I'll go to the woman in the third row from the back, and then I'll come to you, sir. Yes.
I'd just like to take exception to the fact that you're speaking as if actually you had an amazing election result.
No, I think she made her point forcefully. And you, sir?
I think it shows that the Parliamentary Labour Party has well and truly rejected socialism, and maybe the trade union should find a different party to fund.
All right, well, we'll come as Salma Yaqoob might have views about that, but let me just go to Ben Bradshaw. Diane Abbott, tokenism. Very odd that David Miliband, a rival, voted for her.
I don't think so. He made clear quite some days ago that if it was a matter of 1 or 2 votes to get her on the ballot, that he would give her his nomination.
But if she wins, he'll rather regret it.
Well, yes, he may do. I mean, I don't think that's likely.
Oh, you don't think she'll win?
Well, I don't think it's likely to happen, but I think it shows that David is serious when he talks about the need for a new pluralistic politics. I don't think it's tokenism. Diane Abbott's been around in British politics for a very long time. She's an intelligent woman, and I mean, I don't agree with her, but she represents a strand of Labour Party opinion on the left. And my worry would have been if we hadn't had a representative of the left, if you like, in the leadership election, then for years in the future the left would have said, oh, we didn't have a proper debate, we didn't have all the arguments out in the open. I think it's good that we're going to have an open proper policy debate, and I think it'll be a mature one. I think it will be a responsible one, and I welcome the fact that she's there. I think it's an insult to her to say it's tokenism.
I think it's an insult to her that David, in order to strengthen his position and the view of him in the public eye, that he's some kind of encompassing, all-welcoming, all-great leader of our future, that he's put her on the list. I think it's an insult to her that she let him do that to her. It's sort of this whole Harriet Harman thing echoing in my ears about, well, the shadow cabinet should be 50-50, 50% male, 50% female, and it's the kind of all-female selection list. It's all the worst things about recruitment and selection in the public sector coming to light once again. And it reminds me of Wimbledon. You know, we have the wild card for someone who's British and can just about hold a racket. That's what we've done to her.
But my question to Ben. Ben, if the Labour Party really is this modern, inclusive party committed to diversity, why were so few MPs willing to actually nominate Diane Abbott? So few that David Miliband had to nominate her and get his own supporters, including his campaign manager, to vote for her. Why couldn't she get enough votes amongst people like you?
Well, I mean, you have to ask those... I mean, I didn't nominate her because I don't agree with her politics. I think what it shows is that the left of the Labour Party...
But hang on, David Miliband doesn't agree with her politics either. he nominated her for the sake of a good argument.
Exactly.
You say you want a good argument,
Exactly.
and then you say, but I didn't nominate her because I don't agree with her politics.
But
you can't have it both ways.
And David Miliband wasn't the only one. A number of other people who won't support, who won't vote for her in the end, felt it was right in terms of the debate that we'll be having.
But not you.
No, I didn't.
You didn't want her. You didn't want her in the debate.
I think it's
You didn't want her in the debate, did you?
No, I didn't want her in the debate.
Well, you would have voted for her if you wanted her.
I wouldn't have nominated her, and I wouldn't vote for her.
But then she would never get into the debate because David Miliband has saved the party.
David Miliband made quite clear a week or so ago that if it would make the difference between her getting on the ballot or not, that he would support her. I'm glad that he did. I think it's healthy for the debate. I think it shows he's a pluralist politician. And, you know, I think, you know, you would be criticising us if, as you implied earlier, we were just having a debate between 3 or 4 white, middle-class, heterosexual
as you would have preferred. OK, Salma Yaqoob.
Quite frankly, I don't care whether it was tokenism or not. I think it is important a genuine debate happens. It would have been so boring to see these 4 ex-ministers have all been in cabinet, are obviously of the same background, of the same thinking. That for me is the most important thing. I wouldn't support the fact Diana Abbott is on the nominations list because she's black and female. We had Condoleezza Rice, who was a black female politician, who I would certainly not agree with. But I would welcome the fact that Diana Abbott is there, because now we're going to see a real debate. We will see real discussions. We will have a genuine analysis. So I think she has an important contribution to make.
Okay.
Just a couple of very quick points. Firstly, if Diana Abbott does get into power, who is going to be sitting on the This Week sofa? That is, you know, a big issue because she's very good at that. Secondly, I'd like to kind of echo Salma's point, and kind of even if she doesn't kind of get into power, I think it's very, very important that a woman does get a say in these debates, and maybe she can have an influence on whoever does get into power. I think it's really important to have a woman there.
I would like to say I think that the vote from David Miliband really was a cynical ploy, really, to divert votes which he couldn't win away from his other stronger competitors who could have taken no votes himself, because he would really represent the centre ground of politics, which has failed the country, and really what that's done is allowed the expression of the left and the right, the far left and far right, really to come out in politics. And really you've seen this previously in previous generations. So really, David Miliband's view really was very cynical, it was very calculated, I suspect, and it was done to divert votes away from other people, perhaps even Ed Miliband, really, because he would represent more, if you like, the mid-ground between centre and left. So I suspect that's why David did what he did.
I think that's being far too Machiavellian, if you don't mind me saying so. There's an alternative argument, which is actually David's running a risk by having supported getting Diana Abbott on the ballot, as David Dimbleby, our host, was indicating, because that will galvanise and enthuse and engage at the left. People may even join the Labour Party, which you're free to do until, I think, September the 6th, and still vote in this election, which could actually damage David. So, you know, you pay the money, you take the choice.
You stay in the short sleeve shirt.
I think this is all a bit irrelevant, because Diana Abbott will probably drop off the list in the due course of time. What I'm dreading is in the next election we're going to have 3 leaders all look the same. And I'm just so frustrated. I just want to vote for another party, so bring on PR, please. And then we won't get confused with your little party games and so on.
And which party would you vote for? If you,
I regret having voted Labour in the last one, and I would love to see the Green Party just grow and grow and grow. And I really like what Salma says as well.
and you said, I was going to go to the bill, yes.
Well, Ben's tying himself up in knots when really he's already admitted it is a foregone conclusion that she won't get any further in the election contest. So it is tokenism. In terms of which is distasteful in itself, but what is even more distasteful is seeing these 4 male, pale men standing up now to try and distance themselves from the manifesto. The guy that even wrote it is now saying it was rubbish. So that in itself is worse than the tokenism which they're now engaging in with Diana Abbott, who is somebody who believes passionately in the party that she supports.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll go on to another question. This from David Howes, please. David Howes.
I graduated last year with student debts of £20,000. How much more debt do the panel suggest I should be burdened with in order to help reduce the national budget deficit?
Well, this is, of course, in the light of the suggestion from David Willits that the burden on the taxpayer has to be tackled, that the student funding arrangements can't be sustained in the current economic climate.